7 News starts now, live with breaking news.
Amy and Gordon, in October of 2016, Katie Blauvelt was reported missing by her family. 2 days later, her body was found in an abandoned home in Simpsonville. Today, the man accused of murdering her appeared in court. Believed by police to have killed his estranged wife by stabbing her to death in South Carolina in 2016, John Blauvelt was not arrested until 6 years later in Oregon, where he was reportedly found going by the name of Ben Klein. Pre-trial late this afternoon started with testimony from the U.S. Marshal in charge of arresting Blauvelt. He testified Blauvelt was in, quote, pure shock when officers took him to the ground and asked if he was John Blauvelt. Blauvelt told officers his name was Ben. A video was then shown where officers interviewed Blauvelt's at the time girlfriend, who says she knew him as Ben. The marshal described her reaction as absolutely shocked. The judge said today he expects this trial to last a week, if not longer. Live in Greenville, Taylor Farmer, 7 News. Taylor and Amy today began with opening statements, first from the state attorney general's office, who is trying to prove John Blauvelt guilty for the murder of his estranged wife, Katie Blauvelt. The state asked the jury to remember a few numbers. One was the number 6. That's how many inches they say Blauvelt put the knife in Blauvelt's body. Secondly, the number 2,724. That's how many miles they say he traveled from Fountain Inn to Oregon to escape. Lastly, the number 2,086. That's how many days they say he was on the run. The state finished off their opening statement with reading a message from a journal they say Blauvelt wrote to his daughter Madison in December of 2016. She was the only child Blauvelt shared with his estranged wife.
Someday I hope you understand why I did it. The girl was evil to me. She treated me like dirt and took everything from me, including you. I'm sorry that I had to do that, but there was no other way for me. There was no other way for me. Sorry, bud. I love you.
The defense went next. Public defender Paul Neely argued that the state has tunnel vision. He says there were other fingerprints at the crime scene that were never examined. The defense argued that the only person the state has ever looked at is Blauvelt.
Tunnel vision is how you ignore the fact that there is evidence at a crime scene of somebody else being 18 feet from the spot where Katie Blauvelt died. Not John, somebody else. And you don't ask the first question about that piece of evidence.
Witnesses were then called to the stand. That included Hannah Thompson, the 17-year-old who reportedly fled with Blauvelt. She testified that he told her he was going to kill Blauvelt. Thompson added that after they fled the state, he gave her details about how he did it. Trial is still underway in the courtroom here behind us. We'll bring you the latest details as we have them. For now, live in Greenville, Taylor Farmer, 7 News. When Thompson was cross-examined, the defense questioned her credibility as a witness, saying that she had lied about various aspects of the case in 7 interviews before today. Live in Greenville, Taylor Farmer, 7 News. Good evening, Taylor and Amy. Before wrapping up today, the state was going through John Blauvelt's phone records, showing texts they say he sent to Hannah Thompson. I'm going to take a look at my notes so I can read you guys a few of these. One text read, "She's gone." Another read, "I'm going through with that thing." They also pulled up his search history. The records show where he searched how to sharpen a knife. He also searched Blauvelt's name in news articles, and he also searched, "What do I do if my wife dies?"
What's the location of your emergency?
The day started with an emotional testimony from Wayne Roper, a friend of John and Katie Blauvelt. Roper, called by the state, testified that he is the one who found Blauvelt's body in the basement of the abandoned home.
I go inside, look around everywhere, and it looked like someone had been there. And I went through and checked the whole place and went downstairs and found her.
The state called many witnesses to the stand throughout the day. One of those witnesses was Keith Moorcraft, the lead investigator who was working with the Simpsonville Police Department. He also testified seeing Blauvelt's body.
This was in the basement of the home. It's a dirt floor basement, but there was a concrete box, rectangular shaped, and her body was located within that concrete box.
In the cross-examination, the defense argued that the department's investigation was only focused on Blauvelt as a suspect. Moorcraft denied that claim. He says roughly 25 people were interviewed, but the defense still had questions about the thoroughness of the investigation.
What point in time did you ask him why a bottle with his name on it was 18 feet from a large pool of blood at the crime scene?
There was so much trash at that scene, and he was a known person to have frequented that location that it wasn't a damning piece of evidence.
The trial is expected to resume tomorrow morning. Live in Greenville, Taylor Farmer, 7 News. Amy and Taylor, that's right. Today, another friend of John and Katie Blauvelt testified. First up was Allie Somerville. Somerville testified that John Blauvelt asked her to take his phone, car, and credit card to Charleston while he killed Boyder Blauvelt. Somerville said that John Blauvelt told her he was born to kill both good and bad people. She testified that he constantly talked about getting rid of his estranged wife. Somerville also testified that Blauvelt told her if she helped kill Boyder Blauvelt, he would split the $100,000 life insurance money with her. Other witnesses have told that same story. Somerville said Blauvelt's strange behavior caused her to stop talking to him.
The person in this room that told you the abandoned house would be a good place to hide a body is that person in this courtroom.
Yes, sir.
Please point him out for the ladies and gentlemen. You're appointing Mr. John Blauvelt,
John
Mrs.
Blauvelt.
Walker.
Now take a look at this here. This was evidence presented by the state. One of the investigators with the Simpsonville Police Department testified this was a journal entry of Blauvelt's. They say he wrote this message to another investigator while he was in Oregon. You can see the letters in bold spell, "I did it." Now, the state arrested their case today. The defense did not call any witnesses to the stand. They rested their case as well. Closing arguments are expected to begin tomorrow morning. Live in Greenville, Taylor Farmer, 7 News. John Blauvelt has been found guilty for the murder of his estranged wife, Katie Boyder Blauvelt. He has been sentenced to life in prison without parole.
As to the charge of murder, we, the jury, unanimously find the defendant, John T. Blauvelt, guilty.
Throughout the week, the state presented a strong case against Blauvelt with several witnesses and several pieces of incriminating evidence. In closing arguments today, the defense reiterated their theory of tunnel vision. They blamed the Simpsonville Police Department for what they called an incomplete investigation. Prior to Blauvelt's sentencing, we heard very emotional messages from Boyder Blauvelt's two sisters and mom. We spoke to Boyder Blauvelt's mom, Patricia Piver, after she walked out of the courtroom.
Relieved. I mean, it's been 8 years coming, and at some point, we didn't think we'd ever get this day, so we're thrilled. And
The jury deliberated for about 5 hours today, but as we told you, the verdict did come back guilty, and John Blauvelt has been sentenced to life in prison without parole. For now, live in Greenville, Taylor Farmer, 7 News. What's one thing that we should know about Katie?
one of the things I had was something about her laugh and her big eyes and her smile, and she just had a true heart. And her name is Katie, but her name is Catherine, and it meant innocent and pure. And that's what she was, and we lost that.